Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a story that, honestly, almost defies logic.
hmm
It's about Israel's health tech market, specifically across 2024 and 2025. Now, you'd think, right, a period with so much economic stress, the Iron Swords War,
Yeah,
investors would run for the hills.
that was the assumption. Absolutely. I mean, especially for things like life sciences, which are high risk, long term plays, volatility usually scares that kind of capital away.
But that's not what happened.
Not at all. The data shows the complete opposite. It's like the crisis itself lit a fire under this wave of innovation and investment.
Okay, so that's our mission today. Let's unpack that. We want to understand why this one sector didn't just survive, but actually boomed. We're going to look at it through, I guess, three big forces.
Right. The three engines, you have digital health, which is all about data and AI.
Then medtech, the actual smart hardware.
And then the really futuristic stuff, bioconvergence, where those two worlds literally merge with biology.
And we have some pretty solid numbers to back this up right from the start.
Oh, yeah. The numbers are staggering. They tell the whole story.
So let's just get right to it. Lay out those surprise numbers for us. How much private money are we actually talking about in 2024?
We're talking about $2.7 billion in private investment just in the life science and health tech sector.
2.7 billion. And how does that compare to the year before?
That's the kicker. It's a 25% increase.
Wow. Okay.
And it's not just money, it's new companies. We saw a 37% rise in new life science companies being founded in 2024.
So a quarter more capital and a third more companies, all during a time of incredible national stress. I mean, that's remarkable. It sounds less like risk tolerance and more like investors were actively chasing this.
They absolutely were. And it wasn't just private money. The government stepped in, too.
Right.
They put in about $130 million, so 500 million shekels in grants, specifically for infrastructure, for devices, for digital health, for bioconvergence.
So that's a big strategic signal. And did the global market respond? What about exports?
That's the final validation, really. Medical device exports for 2024 hit $3.4 billion.
3.4.
Yeah, which is the highest it's been in 5 years. So these aren't just local ideas. They're getting bought and used all over the world.
Okay, but here's the question. I get that life sciences have long R&D cycles, so they're a bit insulated from short-term shocks. But why a huge jump? Why not just stay steady?
That's the core of it, I think. While the science tolerates volatility, the jump tells you something else is going on. Investors saw that the global demand for solutions to, aging populations, chronic disease, better diagnostics, that demand is only going up exponentially.
So the crisis actually highlighted the need.
Exactly. It underscored the need for resilient healthcare systems everywhere, which made these deep tech solutions more valuable, not less. It became a kind of strategic safe harbor.
A place where the science has to continue no matter what's in the headlines. Makes sense. Okay, let's move to that first engine then. Digital health. This is where data stops being just a record and starts becoming a tool.
Yeah, you can think of it as medicine finally catching up with the digital age. It's
Yeah.
taking all this high-quality health data and mixing it with cloud computing, with AI, and using it to automate decisions or even move care out of the hospital and into the home.
And we're seeing real-world applications right now, right in places like hospitals, managing that incredible complexity of staff and patient flow.
For sure. One of the biggest things is tackling staff burnout, which is a global crisis. You have AI tools, like ones developed with the Suda Medical Centers, that analyze all the hospital data in real time.
So it's not just looking backwards.
No, it's predictive. It forecasts how complex incoming cases will be and helps optimize everything, including nurse schedules. It's about preventing people from getting overwhelmed.
And I imagine this AI-driven approach is also changing remote care.
Totally.
Yeah.
Telemedicine used to be just a video call. Now we're seeing these AI-assisted systems for home monitoring that are constantly collecting patient data so a doctor can step in way earlier.
Now, Israel has a unique advantage here. The data itself, this huge centralized pool of digital health records. How do companies use that without, crossing major privacy lines?
That's where the country's cybersecurity expertise is so critical. You have companies like MD Clone or LinksMD that have built essentially a firewall for research.
How does that work?
They use very sophisticated methods to anonymize the data or even create synthetic data sets that mimic the real patterns. So researchers get what they need to train their AI, but the patient's identity is completely locked down. It really speeds up research ethically.
That model must be incredibly attractive to other countries. And we saw a big move in that direction in 2025.
We did. The Dangor Health Tech Academy initiative, they sent 9 AI-based startups to London. And they weren't just looking for business, they were collaborating directly with the UK's National Health Service, the NHS.
Which is a massive, complex system.
Exactly. It shows these solutions are mature enough for the big leagues.
Okay, so that's the digital nervous system. It's a perfect lead-in to the second engine, medtech. This is the physical hardware, the intelligent body, if you will.
Right. We're talking devices, implants, surgical tools. And Israel is pulling in something like 10% of the entire global deep tech investment in this space. It's hard, it's risky, but the breakthroughs are revolutionary.
Let's talk about some of those. The funding rounds alone tell a story. We have everything from non-invasive brain surgery to tiny heart pumps.
Yeah, take Insight Tech. They raised an incredible $150 million. They pioneered this MRI-guided focused ultrasound tech.
So sound waves instead of a scalpel.
Pretty much. Their platform, Exablate Neuro, can treat things like essential tremor without ever opening the skull. It just focuses high-intensity sound waves deep in the brain, all guided by live imaging.
That's amazing. And then from the brain to the heart, you mentioned Magenta Medical.
They got $105 million for their device, Elevate. It's billed as the world's smallest heart pump. It's for patients with acute heart failure. I mean, think about the engineering that goes into that. Making something that small, that powerful, and that safe inside the human body.
And then there's AISAP, which seems to be about making diagnostics more accessible.
Exactly. They raised $13 million in seed money. They've built a point-of-care AI ultrasound system. The AI is so good, it lets a non-expert get a really high-quality diagnostic image.
So you could use it in a remote clinic or an ambulance.
Anywhere. It basically puts the knowledge of a top-tier specialist right into the device itself.
So looking at those 3 brain, heart diagnostics, the common thread seems to be more than just AI. It's about connectivity, right?
Absolutely. These are not passive tools anymore. They are smart, connected endpoints. The ultrasound relies on its algorithm. The heart pump relies on sensors sending data back. MedTech is now just part of this huge digital network.
Which brings us perfectly to the third and maybe most mind-bending area, bioconvergence. If digital is the brain and medtech is the body, this is like rewriting the source code.
That's a great way to put it. Bioconvergence is about smashing disciplines together. It's taking biology and medicine and merging them with engineering, computer science, physics, materials science.
To solve problems that biology alone can't.
Precisely, to create things that were just impossible with traditional drug development or pure engineering.
And there's a huge national strategy behind this.
Oh, it's massive. There are 163 bioconvergence companies, and 84 of them are focused squarely on medicine. And the government is literally building the infrastructure, like the new chip-based biodevice center.
The lab on a chip center. What does that actually mean for research?
It just changes the scale and speed of everything. Instead of slow manual lab work, you can test thousands of things at once on these tiny integrated chips. It accelerates discovery like you wouldn't believe.
And that leads right into things like personalized medicine, like creating models of human tissue.
It does. You see companies like Alvox bio-building facilities to grow 3D biological models from a patient's own tumor. This whole move to 3D, supported by things like the Organospheres Consortium, is a huge deal.
So why is 3D so important? We've used flat Petri dishes for decades.
Because a flat Petri dish is a terrible model for a human body.
Right.
Cells in a 3D structure, an organoid, behave much more like they do inside us. They interact with other cells, they form layers. It gives you a much more accurate idea of how a drug will actually work in a person, which can save years and billions in development.
And the technologies coming out of this are, well, they're disruptive. I mean, we have to talk about spotted early. Dogs and AI.
It sounds wild, I know, but the science is real. Certain dogs can smell the chemical compounds that cancers release in our breath.
Okay.
So Spot It Early created an at-home breath test. The trained dogs screen the sample, and then an AI system analyzes the dog's reaction and turns it into hard data.
And the accuracy in early studies was?
What? It was 94%, which for a non-invasive test is just phenomenal. It's the perfect example of convergence. A low-tech biological sensor, the dog's nose, combined with high-tech AI analysis.
And then on the treatment side, you have companies like Entity Therapeutics.
Right. They're basically using a patient's own cells as a Trojan horse.
A delivery system.
Exactly. They engineer the cells to carry a specific genetic payload directly to a solid tumor with the goal of waking up the patient's own immune system to fight the cancer. It's an incredible mix of cellular biology, material science, and genetic engineering.
But this amazing story of growth is happening against a much more complicated national backdrop. We can't ignore that tension.
No, we can't, and it's crucial context. While health tech was booming, the broader Israeli tech sector actually saw a decline in the total number of new startups, and tech employment growth slowed down. So health tech was kind of decoupling from the rest of the market.
Why? What drove that split?
Well, general tech, especially consumer tech, is often more vulnerable to economic jitters and short-term funding cycles. Deep tech and life sciences are driven by more fundamental human needs, and they rely more on long-term patient capital, which, as we thought, actually increased.
But there's still a risk.
For sure, the heavy dependence on foreign investment is a long-term geopolitical challenge that the whole sector faces.
And beyond the economics, the human crisis of the war itself sparked a different kind of innovation.
It did. It was innovation born from immediate, urgent need. There was a sudden surge in investment and development for rehabilitation technology,
For trauma care.
for trauma, for child development, for mental health. The government launched these fast-track programs to get startups connected directly with hospitals that were facing these challenges head-on.
So what did that look like, technologically speaking?
It meant accelerating development in very specific areas. Faster injury identification in the field, better remote monitoring during evacuations, and huge leaps in smart prosthetics and sensor-based devices for limb and neurological rehab. The system pivoted on a dime to meet a profound human need.
It gives the technology a sense of immediacy, a purpose that maybe some consumer tech lacks. So let's bring this all together. What does this incredibly complex story mean for you, our listener, who might be thinking about getting into this field?
I think the biggest takeaway is that modern medicine is a team sport. It is not a solo pursuit anymore. It's all about that convergence we've been talking about.
So you don't just have to be a biologist.
Not at all. You can come at it from computer science and AI, building the predictive models. You can come from biology and chemistry, designing the therapies, or from mechanical engineering, building the next smart device.
But it goes even beyond that, right?
It does. You need data scientists, you absolutely need cybersecurity experts, and critically, you need people with skills in psychology and the social sciences.
Why is that so important?
Because the most advanced tool in the world is useless if people can't or won't use it properly. You need people who understand human behavior to make sure these technologies are ethical, user-friendly, and actually effective for patients and doctors.
So here's the final thought. The sources show us this powerful boom in a specific sector, but also these worrying broader trends. Fewer startups overall, a talent shortage. If this bioconvergence revolution we've discussed depends entirely on this very specific, multidisciplinary talent people who get biology and engineering and AI, what are the critical steps the ecosystem has to take right now to make sure the training programs can actually produce the people needed to meet this incredibly high-tech urgent demand? That, to me, seems to be the defining challenge for the future.